Okay, let's now jump into deeper into all things Olympics. Joining me now, Mark Nagel. Mark is a professor of sport and entertainment management at the University of South Carolina in the wonderful city of Columbia. Mark, thanks for joining me here. Now, before we get into the spirit of the games and what we can expect the next few weeks, many people are talking about the meeting between Russian President and Vladimir Putin and President Xi Jinping that is happening at the start of these games. What's your takeaway? What will be discussed, and can we call this a mini summit, and how important is this going to be considering everything going on in the world right now?
I think there was a thought as we went into the 21st century, that everybody would be trading with each other. And so geopolitically, there would be a lot more partnership than rivalry. And I think what's happened certainly in a number of different places all over the world, and especially recently, even though there is a lot of trading between all the countries of the world, there still are concerns. There still are political differences. And I think it's not surprising that Russia and China are meeting together because of some of the geopolitical forces at work in different parts of the world right now. So I'm not surprised, and I would think that the history of China and Russia has gone back and forth from ebbing and flowing, from closeness to distance, and so it looks like they're moving a little bit closer together, given some of the things that are going on in other parts of the world.
Very good point. And China also, of course, has a zero policy for COVID in effect, and part of that is the well-publicized COVID loop at the Winter Games. Do you think that's going to work?
I think it will. I think, the longer the games go on, the more likely there is to have problems. But they seem to have done a really good job of essentially controlling everything. And that we've learned, if one thing we've learned from COVID over the last 2 years is that it's very unpredictable, and it has the ability to permeate even areas where we think we have things on lockdown. So it sounds like from all indications that, new people are not allowed into the loop, and the people that are in the loop were tested and were prepared to not have COVID as they came in. So I think it can be done for a couple weeks, and hopefully it is the case that we don't have any COVID problems.
Mark, while you're talking, we're looking at some shots of the various venues, just amazing pictures. And China has received very kind words from the Olympic Committee, we heard at the start of our program, for being able to put on a world-class event in the face of a pandemic. Now, how will athletes, of course, they're used to freedom to roam anywhere they want to go, how are they going to cope with this loop? And it's also got to be a bit painful to compete at the highest level with no fans.
Well, there's so much emotion that goes into competing that obviously you prepare and you prepare and you prepare, and you want to share those experiences when you're successful with fans. So I think that's going to be a little bit of a disappointment. I think the athletes, though, as far as their performance, will be focused and prepared. What really detracts for the athletes is not so much when they're competing. Besides, obviously, when they're competing, they don't have the fans. But what really detracts for them is not being able to go and experience, especially when they're done competing, the city, the people. Just being able to immerse yourself in the culture is going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be almost pure business in regards to practice, compete, go back, practice, compete, go back, and to your residence without any other interaction with the city, with the people that are there.
I've been to a couple of Olympics, and the atmosphere is electric, as you talked about. Now, looking forward, do you think that we're looking at the next crop of superstars for major winter sports endorsements? Or do you think that's going to rise from these games?
Well, it's going to be interesting because without fans and without kind of the commotion that accompanies a normal Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics, the sponsors are there, but they're not able to activate and do as many things as they normally would. And so what will that mean for the successful athletes that are essentially launching their careers, those that win gold medals and are very successful? I think it's going to be interesting to see how those residual sponsorship and marketing opportunities come about, if they do, because a lot of this is going to be done almost in a vacuum where there isn't that opportunity to feel and experience the fans that are there.
I can't let you go without talking about the opening ceremonies. Now 12 hours away. Beijing is the first city to host both winter and summer games. What are we expecting for the opening ceremonies? I think everybody remembers back to 2008 because China is so well known for its pageantry.
I think it's going to be exciting. I think there'll be a lot of twists and turns. They've done a pretty good job of kind of giving a little bit of information about things they're going to do, and then there's going to be some surprises, but I'm sure it's going to be a grand scale, and I'm sure it's going to, even though there won't be as many people there to see it live in person, I think it's still going to be a great televised event for those watching it wherever they are around the world.
And a challenge for all those networks all over the world that own the rights as well.
Yeah.
Mark Nagel, Professor of Sports and Entertainment Management at the University of South Carolina, thanks very much for all of your insight.